Welcome back to the Hardy Complex, the one place for everything and anything you don't want to hear and you don't want to see. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's the least of my worries right now. I told you back in week 4, week 5, whatever it was, early in the season, that my dark horse favorites, my overwhelmingly underrated team that I believe could have made it to the Super Bowl were the Chicago Bears. And a few people were keen-eyed and kind of agreed to an extent. They wanted to know why, and there were a lot of people that said, oh, that's idiotic. It's the Bears. Mitch Trubisky. A few weeks go by, of course. Now they're sitting pretty at 7-3, first place in the NFC North. An NFC North division that a lot of people thought was going to be competitive between Minnesota and Green Bay, and Chicago, Detroit. Those are the other teams that would just be looking out at the Vikings and Vikings and the Packers at each other's throats. But let's see here now. Let's just look back at their record against division opponents. Against the Green Bay Packers in Week 1, they lost by a point. They lost via Aaron Rodgersing. Against Detroit last week, 34-22. Big victory. 402 total yards, 348 passing yards, 54 yards on the ground though. The Vikings just last night, 25-20 on Sunday Night Football. Nice spread balance in the overall aspect of things. 160 passing yards to 148 rushing yards. This is a team on offense that can do it on both sides of the ball. But what I've heard a lot of people say now is, wow, have you seen that Mitch Trubisky guy? He's been fantastic. I've kind of been skeptic as to what the hell there are a lot of people talking about. Oh, Mitch Trubisky is fantastic. Well, okay, yeah, Trubisky's been great this season. I mean, not even great. Really good, though. But a lot of people are saying, hey, Mitch Trubisky is leading this team. No, Mitch Trubisky is not leading this team. I mean, look at Mitch Trubisky's stats this year. He's started 10 games. He's played in 10 games, of course. He's got a 7-3 record. But he's 210 for 321 with 20 touchdowns and 9 picks. I mean, his longest, of course, was 70 yards, but I mean, his yards per attempt is 7.7 yards. That's awfully apparent to what an offensive kind of coach would kind of get you to. I mean, look at what a lot of guys have done. I mean, Jared Goff could average the same with Sean McVay, an offensive mastermind. Drew Brees has been doing the same with Sean Payton for years, an offensive mastermind. You get what I'm trying to say? Mitch Trubisky last year had his rookie struggles, but he's 7-3 right now, sitting pretty with Matt Nagy, who is an offensive mastermind. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan, head coach for the 49ers. Great young team, offensive mastermind, with a third-string quarterback they picked up at Walmart. He's averaging 28 points per game. All right, you know what? Let's just look over the past few weeks. Let's look at the total passing yards on offense since, let's go week 7. All right, week 7 was against the Patriots. 319 passing yards. That's pretty damn good. Then against the Jets, 216. Then the Bills, 126. So you didn't need to do much to beat the Bills. They still won 43-9. Okay, 348 passing yards against the Lions. Pretty good against a defensive head coach like Matt Patricia. Then 160 yards against the Vikings. On the ground, however, let's look at the big games in which Mitch Trubisky played extremely well. Against the Patriots, where Mitch Trubisky had 319 total passing yards, the run game had 134. Against the Jets, 216 passing yards on the ground, though. They also had 179 rushing yards. Against the Bills, 126 passing yards and only 64 rushing yards against the Bills. It's not much to do. Let's go against the Lions. Really the only outlier here, 348 passing yards and 54 yards on the ground. Okay, makes sense. We're breaking the mold a little bit. Then the Vikings fucking split down in the middle, 160 passing yards to 148 rushing yards. This is not Mitch Trubisky's team. This is not Mitch Trubisky doing this. This is Mitch Trubisky getting a lot of help. And you know who's helping him? The real side of the ball that's killing opponents. The defensive side of the ball. Matt Nagy is an offensive-minded coach. And yet his team is largely, not even largely defined, but largely identified by their defense. Their defense in league rank, let's just put it this way. Points scored, 4th in the league. Yards allowed, 3rd in the league. Turnovers lost, 1st in the league. Fumbles lost by a player or the team, 3rd in the league. Okay, that's not great. Then you go to first downs allowed, 2nd in the league. Attempted passes, essentially on average, 27th in the league. People aren't passing the ball against the Bears. What they are doing is they're rushing. You know what they're doing to stop the rush? Enough to be in the top half of the league. 12th. They've allowed very few passing touchdowns, puts them at 21st in the league. Not great. Now, on an average drive, they are the 4th best team in allowing their opponents time with the ball. They are 8th best in cutting down their opponent's offense. Inability to keep them down, to not being able to run enough plays to get down the field within quickly. The net yards per drive for their opponent's offense, they're 4th in the league. They haven't allowed much. They're the best team in the league in allowing their opponents to score. In rushing, people aren't rushing the ball really too often against the Bears. Also, I said earlier, my apologies. In the passing game, people aren't really getting much against the Bears. They're 12th in the league. That was not rushing. My apologies. What rushing is, passing yards, they're 1st in the league. They don't let anybody run the ball. That's why they're the 3rd best team in keeping their opponents from running the ball. Opponents don't know what the hell to do. They pass because the Bears are so locked down on the run game that they're forced to pass. That's how often. They're the 5th worst team in the league in terms of how often people balance against the Bears. You can't balance against the Bears. You have to pass the ball. Even if it doesn't work, the Bears lock down the run game. The 5th worst team in terms of how often the other opponents pass on them. Opponents pass so much on the Bears because the Bears don't let anything do on the ground. They're best in the league in stopping the run game for yards. Best in the league for stopping the run game in touchdowns. Yards per attempt, best in the league at stopping their opponents from running the ball. This is a team defined by their defense. This is a team that's been defined by their defense, despite the fact that their coach is an offensive-minded guy. And then look at the coaching staff, the immediate coaching staff. Head coach Matt Nagy, an offensive kind of mind. Offensive coordinator, Mark Helfrich. He's been the Robin to Matt Nagy's Batman. And then Vic Fangio has probably been my favorite defensive coach of the past few years, aside from Matt Patricia. This is a team that's 7-3, but is 7-3 because of their defense, despite the fact that it should be their offense carrying the ball. This is not Mitch Trubisky's team. This is not Mitch Trubisky's doing. This is the doing of the Chicago Bears defense. This is not even the monsters of the Midway. This is the Midway Mayhem. This is the Chicago Bears playing lockdown. The Bears have been locked down. And if you're a team like the New Orleans Saints, if you're a team like the Los Angeles Rams, who have really been defined by their offense more than they have been defined by their defense, let me put it to you this way. You're going to be into a fight. This Bears defense is the reason why guys like Mitch Trubisky can make a deep run into the postseason. Pat Mahomes, he has to make up for it in his goddamn arm. He has to make up for it in his playmaking because his defense is not there. Mitch Trubisky can be carried to a Super Bowl by his defense because his defense is what plays lights out. His defense, the Bears' defense, is what's going to shut down the Saints in the postseason, is what's going to shut down the Rams in the postseason. The Vikings, the Packers, the Lions, they stand no chance at catching up to the Bears. The Bears are on fire. The Bears are making it to the Super Bowl. I've said it since the goddamn beginning of the season. Watch out for the Bears. They are Super Bowl contenders. And while the Eagles are on a downhill slide, the Saints are an offensive-minded juggernaut, and the Rams are the best team in the league in terms of players by position, the Bears are the best team in the NFC. The Saints are too defined by their offense. The Rams are too defined by their offense. They're too one side of the ball focused. The Bears are everything. The Bears are a defensive team, but with an offensive-minded juggernaut. They can get the ball downfield the same way their defense can stop their opponents from doing the same. The Bears are so locked down that Mitch Trubisky can be led to the Super Bowl by the Bears' defense. Peyton Manning, in his final year, was carried by the Broncos' defense into the Super Bowl and won that Super Bowl. Fucking tell me that Mitch Trubisky, a young guy that is also very capable of throwing the ball, unlike Peyton Manning in his last year, without it looking like his arm is made of gelatin, tell me the Bears don't have a shot. You'd be lying to yourself, you'd be lying to me, and at the same time, you'd be so uninformed on that decision, I would laugh. I'm not going to tell you that the Rams aren't good. I'm not going to tell you that the Saints aren't good. They're really good. The Chiefs are really good. The Patriots are really good. The Steelers are really good. All of those teams, though, only extremely capable on one side of the ball. Doesn't matter if it's the Saints offense or the Chiefs offense. Doesn't matter if it's the Jaguars defense. They're all one side of the ball. Their other side of the ball, whether it's the offense or defensive side of the ball that is essentially playing second fiddle to the mainstay of that team, it could be great, but it's not a focus. The Chiefs, they have a horrible defense, horrendous defense. The Rams, they have a capable defense, a defense that can win championships, but that's not the focus of the Rams. You can't let the Seahawks score 30-plus on you and say you got a damn well bona fide defense. Not how it works. The Bears are a defensive team, but Matt Nagy has made this offense work as well. The Bears are heading to the Super Bowl. That's my prediction, unless some strange thing happens, unless injuries take out the Bears, unless by some sort of black magic kind of situation takes out the Bears are heading to the Super Bowl. The Bears are at least heading to the NFC Championship game. I can't see anything else happening. This is the Bears' season to win the NFC, and I think they're going to do it. But this is not Mitch Trubisky as the reason. Mitch Trubisky has not been the reason. Mitch Trubisky will never be the reason for the Bears' success, as long as this defense is this defense. They got a fucking steal with Khalil Mack in the offseason. They were lucky the Raiders had a stupid choice on their hands that allowed them to let Khalil Mack walk. And they're making the Raiders pay for it. They're making the NFC pay for it. And very soon they're going to make the best in the NFL pay for it. This is the Bears' season to win it all. And I'm a 49ers fan. So this is my completely unbiased opinion. The Bears are making a run. And I will sing to the high heavens that I finally, for once, called this shit right. Hardy Complex, number 12, back in 60.